Jennifer Bleam. I'm the cybersecurity Sherpa, and I'm going to let each of these gentlemen introduce themselves. Sean, let's start with you.
Sure. Thank you first for having us, Jennifer.
100%.
I am Sean Lardo. I am the evangelist for the ConnectWise economy. This is also PitchIT is my baby, hence I'm on all the calls and all the webinars. No, I'm not going to take up time. So I'm going to go to the other head coach that's not Kam Srikanth that declared that they were going to win, Jamison West.
Well, thanks for having me. I was a judge when Callan, I allowed Callan's company to win back then because I thought it was important that I had an opportunity to beat him now. So I remember that. I remember when that happened. That was
wow, that's good.
Way back, some history there. Actually, same with Gene. I was a judge when Gene won. Just let him win, just so I could bring them into this environment and destroy them both later.
It will make this win much easier, much more special.
Wow.
It just helped me get to know them, where their weaknesses are, and it was strategic.
A little strategery going on, man. I expected some trash talk, but I did not expect it like 2 minutes into the live. So thank you for not letting me down, and thank you for being an overachiever.
And super excited to have Kam here. This is why we're going to win, right? Because AlertOps has the right product, and Kam knows how to pitch it. So super excited to be working with Kam, and super excited for IT Nation. It'll be, I think, my 12th one in a row, and just love going. Love headed over to the other side of the country, and excited to be there. Kam, would you introduce yourself?
Absolutely. Hi, everyone. I'm Kam Srikanth. So I head up solutions and customer experience here at AlertOps. And yeah, it's Jamison kind of put it very well. We're in it to win it.
I love it. Okay, awesome. So we're going to jump right in. Sean, I want to give you a chance to just do a quick, maybe a 2 or 3 minute explanation on what is PitchIT, why does ConnectWise back this up, and where's the heart for this program coming from?
Good. Great question. So simply put, for PitchIT, I'm not allowed to use a Thunderdome reference anymore because I was like, 2-man enter, 1-man leave. They're like, that sounds brutal. But at the end of it, we're headed for the finals are coming up, and this is a Shark Tank concept, right? Where there'll be 3 finalists that are competing. We did start with 18. We went through an incubator accelerator program to help them find gaps within their business and whatever, to help them to advance to the next level, even with their own business. But at the end of this, there will be one final winner, which, as Jamison put it so eloquently, he actually enabled the other 2 teams to be involved, the other 2 coaches, so that later on he could destroy them, which was amazing. He had such great foresight. But at the end of this, the importance to ConnectWise is, we had 3 promises we put out about last year at IT Nation Connect, which was easier to do business with, investing even more in partner growth, and more innovations faster. So PitchIT is the epitome of all of this, because one is we want to make sure that we find the right vendors. We want to find the emerging technologies, give them a chance to start to succeed within our community, vet them out to a degree so that way we know it aligns with what the partners' needs are. So, and there you go, you're easier to do business with as well. And we've invested a lot into it. And the innovation part, self-explanatory. They're emerging vendors. So they are constantly innovating new things that we won't necessarily get to anytime soon, and they're complementary to the ConnectWise economy. Long run, it's good for everybody. The better that the ecosystem does, the better ConnectWise does anyway, and it's reciprocal. So, investment wise, it's been a lot. Let's just put it that way.
And okay, and there's some money.
Yes, there's money. Go ahead. Yes.
No, I was going to say there's some money on the line. So not just bragging rights and trash talking, although there will absolutely be that, but there's a big old check on the line.
There is. So first place winner, according to Jamison, that Kam will be taking the check of, is $70,000, which is great. And it's just prize money, and they can invest into whatever they need to. But I think they have to present what they're going to do with it, kind of, to win the competition, maybe. I don't know. But I'm not involved, which is great. All I have to do is stand up there and look pretty and tell jokes. But yeah, $70,000 for first, $30,000 for second is what we're giving up for this competition. Plus, we're having an open bar during the events, just so we're clear.
Amazing. Okay, so many reasons to come.
Yes.
I love it. Okay, so Kam, let me direct this question at you. One thing that we talk about in this industry, one thing that I train my MSP clients on is their unique selling proposition. Why should we do business with you? What is it that makes you different from all of the other solutions in the area? So I want to give you a chance to start there to level set for the audience.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're an alert management and response automation tool, right? So we do multi-channel alerting, and there are a bunch of on-call solutions out there, right? On-call's been around for a while, but it still sucks. Everyone hates it when they're on call. It's kind of the week of the month that they despise. So what AlertOps does is kind of put into perspective a framework that really allows you to enable your MSPs to operate their service desk more efficiently. So from reducing noise to being able to build custom business logic that resonates with your service desk, right? Depending on what types of clients you have, depending on the SLAs that you have for different types of service tickets, and automating that process so it's substantially less manual overhead.
Awesome. I love the automating piece. Like one thing that I hear about is the alert fatigue, and just it is a noisy environment. So I heard reducing the noise, but then also the ability to have some granularity in what is allowed to make noise and what is not. So that's fantastic. As you honed that USP, I guess I should ask you, did you hone it, or is it that exactly what your USP was 6 months ago?
I would say to an extent it was our USP 6 months ago, but I think that our ability to do it became substantially better. And the reason is as we learned a lot more about the MSP ecosystem and as we delved into the most common tools in the ecosystem and trying to maximize the functionality with those tools, right? So as a standalone tool, we do alerting and we do response automation, but plugged into the rest of your tech stack and being able to make those connections seamless is really where the improvement has lied. So the right data to the right people at the right time.
So it was good before, but now it's great. That's what I'm
Yeah,
hearing. Excellent.
absolutely.
So, Jamison, as a coach, how much did you have to support, or maybe pull out of Kam the benefits to the MSPs and get beyond the features and hone in on those benefits?
Well, I think that it was fairly simple in the sense that Kam had already done an incredible job with this. I mean, obviously, you get into the top 3 out of 18. You've done the work, you've done the homework, you've seen the templates for the decks. You've learned how to tell the story, and Kam does a great job of that, which is why I'm very confident going into this next, at PitchIT. I think that what the nuance is like going through from the perspective of somebody who's judged it before and won it before, which is why Callan and Gene and I are doing this, right? There is more of a story, connecting the dots between the slides, making it more storytelling, problem, solution. The features will come later, right? So it's really about where's the ROI for me, and just mitigating this. I know at the most basic level for me, I ran an MSP for 21 years before I sold it and started my other companies, and I'd lost team members over midnight texts and having to wake up in the middle of the night multiple days in a row when it was their on-call week or what have you. So the ROI for me was really, really simple. And that was that's just one use case, right? There's a lot of use cases out there. So I think that focus for software providers, especially, to think about problems, solutions, and use cases for their products, way more interesting than getting into the feature set. That'll come in a future demo. And so I think Kam already knew that. We did make some other changes to the deck I hope will really bolster the chances of winning.
Are those like secret changes, or are you able
No,
to?
it's really about I feel pretty strongly that confidence in the team, not only their experience to develop and grow what they're doing, but also their understanding of the vertical in tandem with that experience is critical. Like if I'm going to invest my money into a business, I've got to know that they're capable of succeeding, and I've got to believe in the problem that they're solving. and that they understand the industry they're solving it for. So that was a big conversation we had and created some tweaks in the deck. I'd say another place that was pretty important to me is getting super clear on what the market opportunity really looks like. Like what's out there, what could we do? And if you kind of get to the point where you're solving a strong problem, and even a small fraction of the total market opportunity is a massive success for the organization. It's something else that I'll lean into, and it just de-risks an investment in that regard. And that's really what this is all about. This is a pitch like any other pitch. It's a contest. So we're not trying to get investors, but sans that slide at the end of the deck, it's essentially the same thing. And that's something I've been through a lot. So I think we just had to tweak some things, and we're right there.
Because there is the chance that there are investors in the room. So you don't want to ignore those people, but largely you're speaking to the MSPs that are there.
100%. Yeah, that last slide that isn't there, that would be for pure investors, like, and we're seeking this kind of a raise for this kind of equity. I mean, that one slide, and it's the same deck pretty much.
Yes.
And that could be for the investors. That could be a conversation Cam's ready to have when it comes off stage, I guess.
And how long is your presentation? How many minutes?
It's specifically 5, right, Cam? I mean, you're spot on.
5, and I think we got 2 minutes of questions afterwards.
Okay. So
4 minutes and 58 seconds.
Yes, we need a little buffer in there. So I am curious, Cam, how many times up until today have you practiced that 5-minute presentation?
I think that running through the entire thing, I've only done a couple of times. I think that really where I've spent a lot of my time is going through individual slides one at a time, obviously timing them, but then additionally just refining how I want that messaging to come out when I'm running through the pitch. So I think that this next week is definitely going to be a lot of holistic approach to going through the entire thing. So I'm expecting to run through it at least 50 to 100 times before the conference.
No doubt, no doubt. And 5 minutes is short. If you have never done a 4-minute pitch or a 7-minute pitch, you think, oh, that's an eternity, until you think of all the things you want to say in that 5 minutes. So I'm excited about seeing what you include. Were there things that you had to cut out simply to make that 5-minute limit?
Oh yeah, 100%. And I think that one of the big things was the actual product features, right? So I'm a solutions guy. Anytime I see a feature, I get all giddy. But ultimately, it's about the value, right? What are we actually doing? What problem are we solving? So getting my mindset from product to value was definitely a big step that Jamison helped me take in terms of preparing for the pitch.
I think that will serve you well. I know that MSPs, they get excited about the features and the speeds and feeds, but I have always said if a vendor can explain the value or the problem that they solve, that's even better, because it tells them how they can save money, make money, save team members frustration, etc. So that's significantly better in the long run than the speeds and feeds. So good cut. I'm glad that's on the cutting room floor. I concur. Okay, last question for now, and then I'll pass it over to Sean so I don't monopolize our whole time. What was the hardest part? And I want to get this perspective from both of you. Jamison, what was the hardest part as a coach of this whole process this time around? And then Cam, same for you. What was your hardest part as the team member driving this forward?
Well, I think it's just a matter of, for me, it wasn't hard. There wasn't a lot of hard things. It's maybe a little bit distance in scheduling. It'd been nice to have sit down in a room together and been able to do this. We're across the country. And then finding time. We're both busy people, but we really managed through that well. We were able to connect. It's funny, technology's made it pretty easy. So we were able to really work through that, and then being able to agree on how we're going to do things in sync, live, and when we're going to do things kind of off, out of band. And so I think I think we had a great rhythm there, and it ended up in the right place.
Okay, Cam, how about you?
Yeah, really, like James said, wasn't too hard, right? I think that pretty much on the first meeting that we had and Jamison saw the deck, he was able to pinpoint, hey, these are the big things that we got to look at. So once we had that kind of top-down picture as far as what we wanted to change, it was pretty easy to go about it and then just start refining it a little bit more.
Awesome. All right, I'll hold for a moment. Sean, go for it.
You're doing well. I mean, you're actually asking much better questions than I was going to. No, I'd rather dig in a little bit to what you just said stands out. One thing we talked about was speeds and feeds, talking about features, technology, whatnot. Cam did very good from the first time he presented in general. He was always pretty thorough. But Jamison's strong point has always been doing the value prop, the positioning. Like actually one of the first conversations I had with James, and he's like, I'm not a product guy. I just see what it is. I'm like, oh, that makes sense. This is how people could use it. So it was kind of a match made in heaven. So going into that, like we talked about, you cut out some stuff. Did you find, Cam, that you're shifting your thought process now when you approach things looking at this now?
Oh yeah, 100%. And I think that a lot of the times, if you're in a full-blown product demo, right, it's a lot easier for people to see the value from the product when it's in front of their faces. You're clicking around, they're seeing tools that they're used to, screens that they're used to. But the second that you're in a pitch where maybe you've got a screenshot or two in your presentation, that doesn't really drive the point home as hard. So it's really your responsibility to. And I think that that was probably from my end the biggest area I needed to work on. But also with Jamison's help, I think that the slide deck was mostly prepared. It was more so just refining my pitch around what was actually being articulated. So I think that the way that I even approach a conversation with the customer now starts value first, product second, rather than the other way around.
Now, Jamison, for you, when you go through the presentation conversation, how to change the pitch, tweak it, whatever, is there any certain methodologies or theories you apply to this?
Well, I just think it goes back to, I started with, I co-founded a SaaS company called Teamatics probably 5 years ago. And we were applying for a couple of incubators, very, very similar. You're pitching to get access to an incubator. You're not actually asking for the money. So it's literally the same type of thing. And I been an EO for well over a decade. And I've had several people raise money and be in incubators. And so I had a couple of great templates for a pitch deck, and it just wasn't what I expected or thought it needed to be. What I understood after talking to these friends who'd done well with all this, I realized that it's about the story, not about the product. And I think that at the end of the day, we've all kind of said it, but flowing from one slide to the next to tell a cohesive story of problem, solution, value proposition, people you would be proud to invest in and believe in, and then market opportunity and ROI, because at the end of the day, it is about the dollars too. That I just realized that I could tell that story in 12 slides. I didn't need 15 product slides to tell that didn't help my story. So everything shifts when you kind of get to that mindset, right?
Even 12 slides though, 12 slides in 5 minutes, you're moving through those slides. You're not parking on any slide for more than 25, 30 seconds on average. So
just the story, whatever it is, it could be 4 slides. It's really just about telling that story, right? And
what about, okay, so, and I agree, right? One thing I don't like doing is I hate when people read from scripts, because you lose your engagement with your own self, even, right? When you're busy reading, it's like Ben Stein and Ferris Bueller's Day Off, right? It's kind of how it turns into. So I'm a huge fan of like a few bullets and an image. Like if I know what I'm doing enough, I could look at an image and tell a story around that image on that screen, right? So are you applying any kind of these practices to you, Cam, at this point?
I would say that I hate scripts as well. I think that anytime I got a script in front of me, I might have it memorized, but I'm always stumbling over my words because I'm worried I'm going to forget the next sentence. So I'm the same way, right? If there's a few bullets and a picture, I think that if you know the topic well enough, you should be able to talk about it. So I think that that's really the approach that I'm taking there.
That's good. That's good. Well, I think it allows you also, when if you're busy reading a script, you can't see how the people are reacting either. So you don't know if you need to pivot at all.
And Kim, are you, what order is this in? Are you the first person to go or the last?
Actually, I am not 100% sure.
They don't know yet. Wait, Sean, tell me about that. I didn't know that.
Well, because they're all coming as equals, we will be doing a random shortly before the actual event takes place.
No, just to increase the tension and the stress. Although these guys don't seem real stressed. They're pretty confident they're walking away with the win.
I would agree. Yeah, no, but we want, I mean, we've all been in business a long time, all of us right now. And the reality is you never know when you got to turn it on. You never know when you got to be ready to present, or even an elevator pitch happens to come about just out of a sheer maturation of a conversation with somebody that's random, so. And really, it's kind of fun for me to just hold it over their head anyway as to when they go. So maybe I'm sadistic in a way, but no, we haven't picked an order. We will shortly before the actual finals that take place on November 9th at 3 p.m. Eastern.
Oh, perfect segue. Let me show the URL. If you don't have your ticket yet, make sure you get your ticket. If you're just joining us, we are talking about PitchIT, which is happening at IT Nation Connect. Get your tickets, connectwise.com/the IT Nation. And I want to pivot off of the question or the statement Sean just made about nobody knows the order. Jamison, what are you hoping for? Do you hope you're first? Do you hope you're last so you can watch and adjust on the fly? What are you hoping for?
Well, I'm not sure that it matters a ton. I don't recall where we were positioned at Time Zest when we won it. And I'm not sure if the order really matters. I do like the idea of kind of, some people get a little bit of nerves, some people don't. So if you're the type of person who doesn't really get nerves, I don't think Kam is, then probably the end is better, because you can kind of like capitalize on where you saw people make mistakes. Somebody goes over, you kind of know like, okay, I've got some safety there. You know that. If you're the type of person who just wants to kind of get it over and you're ready and gunning to go, then first might be the better spot. But I think that in both times I judged, we really had clarity in terms of like finish on time, demonstrate the value, and I think we were really, really clear both times I judged. I think all the judges were super aligned on first, second, and third. And I think the audience was as well, because just being prepared. All that said, this time, this PitchIT is far and away the most preparation, conversations. So all three might be better than any of the winners were in the past, because our experience was taken from we didn't have any of this happening, right? There was no prep, there was no coaching, there was none of this. We were walking in pretty cold. Some of us had the fortune, like I did, of having pitched and having worked with people who'd pitched. And so I had my own methodology and I was ready. But I think that this will be a little different, just because everybody has had these weeks to get ready, months to get ready.
I agree. All I want to know, all I ask is at the end, all the head coaches say, man, you guys are so much better than we were. That's all I ask. So I want that declaration publicly said, my goodness, you guys are awesome. It's so much better than any other year of competition with the three out there going at it. Because I watched the last years and they were good pitches. I'm not going to say that anybody did bad. That was not the case.
We didn't have too bad, Sean.
But preparation is way different. Yes, I am going to.
I haven't seen mine since I did it. You have that somewhere? Can you send that to me?
We do have it somewhere. Yes, we have the video. Yes.
I don't want to see it.
No, you aren't. I never want to see myself either. I totally get it. No, it wasn't. It wasn't that anybody did bad. That's not. And we even actually there were very impressive moments when I watched in different videos from pitches, even with Gene and whatnot. One thing that every one of you did a really good job at was that value piece. Like the problem the pain point that you were going after and how you solved it, and what it meant to the people. That was like, each one of them, it was clearly defined. The ones that didn't win, there was ambiguity. There was a little bit of a fuzzy area of like, okay, like one of them I watched, I was like, I didn't know if they were a platform or a service, and that in itself was a problem.
Yeah.
So every one of the winners that I watched and I saw the decks on, it was a very clear, obvious answer as to here's the pain, here's what we do, and this is how much better your life is. And that's the difference, and that was a differentiator for all of you guys.
Yeah, and there's one other thing that I think, like, I remember the 6 people I saw over my 2 times judging, 2 of them who went over and then kind of seemed to get annoyed with the clock being or get frazzled.
Yep.
No matter how good their story was, it just kind of collapsed their chances to possibly have won. Right? That is just like you and I, Sean, multiple times over this whole time said this over and over. Like, get done on time. Don't annoy anybody. You're done.
No, right. Unless you're about to tell me like the cure for cancer at the end of the 5-minute mark, you have no reason to go over 5 minutes, right? I mean, that's the truth. Like you have to respect the guidelines given to you, because if you went to go get funding, anybody's ever gone to get funding, they tell you their criteria. And if you miss one thing on their criteria, you're canceled. They don't care about you. You've been disqualified, and that's how they triage you. If you can't follow basic steps and basic requests, then you can't, obviously, they're concerned about you as a business in general.
Yes.
So you have to follow those, and we will shut you down. After 5 minutes, you're done talking.
Yeah. So that's a big one. That's the kind of black and white. Everything you said was accurate. That one for me as a judge, like a couple times it was like, they blew it. Didn't matter how good they were. You're done. Like as judges, we were like, oh, you're done. Blew it.
Right. Okay. And it's not okay. I can't speak for the previous years, because I know this year was a lot more enhanced. You guys have ample time, so that's even worse. So if you've had months and you still can't do it, that means there was no preparation done the right way. That means you treated this very nonchalant, blasé, and I mean that's a bad showing for you also.
So is there a tiebreaker? Because my concern is you've had the additional coaching. You're potentially really leveling the playing field. You've got 3 contestants. You've got 3 judges. What happens if there's not a clear winner?
Well, so the way we did the judging, it's on scorecards, and there's different categories that they score. The odds of there being a tiebreaker would be, it'd be like winning the lottery, I would think, for one, just because the way it's structured. In the event that there is, though, we have staff on hand that's watching this as well, because the 3 judges do not work for ConnectWise. The affiliation with ConnectWise is that they're just in the same industry and they know what they're doing, right? And so we respect their opinions, and we want and they're experts in their fields, right? But at the end of it, it's still whoever is the clear-cut winners in order have to be the best for the mission that ConnectWise is trying to do with the partners. Period. That it has to be. They have to be a Jason McGee, we had on I did an interview with him. We were live streaming him some months back, and one thing that he said that stood out so much is we don't want coin-operated vendors. We want people that partners can believe in, that they know will be there for the long haul. They're not going to jeopardize their business. That's some of the most important pieces you can think of, and that's how we're looking at this.
Okay, so this is for either the coach or the participant. Why are you so confident you're going to win? I mean, trash talking aside, why you?
I want Kam first. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So I mean, I think that the level of preparation that we have done 100% aids with the pitch, and I think that beyond that, though, at least coming from a product standpoint, is a fundamental resonance that exists between our product and the MSP community, even talking to our existing MSP partners, as well as any potential prospects and anyone that we've interviewed, right? This was really designed with MSPs in mind, and kind of having that confidence that we've seen it truly drive value for our MSP partners is one of the things that reassures me that we're going to do pretty well.
Yeah, and from my perspective, it's, the product, the value prop, the story, everything we've talked about you're supposed to do in a pitch is pretty well nailed. I think the first time Kam tried it, he went over the 5 minutes. He's heard pretty clearly what not to do. Now he's not going to do that. And ultimately, I think the reason I have like that enhanced confidence is you got to be able to pitch it, say it. You can't look frazzled. You can't be knocked off you've got to have the confidence and personality to deliver well. And so the reason I had Kam go first, he's kind of unshakable. He's got this relaxed confidence, and people like listening to him. That it makes the person pitching makes a massive difference. I've got a tremendous amount of confidence in Kam.
Yeah, that's the second time today that I've heard that theme of confidence in this interview. That is fascinating to me. You know, a lot of sales is the transference of emotion and the transference of that confidence, and that may well be enough to tip you over if it is at all close. I know you probably don't think it'll be close at all, but that confidence, that you know, the unshakable nature that your product can serve and is serving, that's going to be fun to see. How about stage? Kam, do you get nervous on the stage? Does that bother you at all?
Not too much.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
feel
So unshakable, just like Jamison said, you're like unshakable. I love it.
Yeah, actually, Cam's always been pretty smooth. Since like he wasn't even originally the first person with the company that was doing this. He wasn't involved. He got involved midway through and had to start getting engaged. And it wasn't. I didn't know that he wasn't originally there, but I knew he wasn't originally there. Kind of.
Yeah.
He didn't give away any indication there was a problem.
Love it.
If anything, he probably enhanced their chance of winning in general, making it this far. So I totally think it's I don't know. I can't wait. I'm like actually super stoked. I don't have any bearing on judging. I just get to hang out and watch and announce the winner. That's all I get to really do. And I get to like do like the NASCAR, shake the champagne and shoot everywhere when they win kind of thing, which we can't do, by the way. I was already told we can't. I asked. I know, right? They're like, we don't want to pay the cleaning bill. So you know, I like to talk more about the experience of you through the incubation process though, right? You know, Jamison, your experience when you came through this each time you've been involved, there's not been this. So
no, not even not at all. I mean, the first time I judged, which is, you know, I don't remember even when that was. That was a 2018 or something like that, or
yes, 2018. 2018.
2018.
Mm-hmm.
It was really like, hey, this is happening. We've got to, you know, we had some people apply online and we picked 3 of them. Can you show up and judge this thing at 11 o'clock the day before IT Nation or something? You know, it was a couple of weeks beforehand. And I was like, absolutely. And I can't remember who, I mean, it was me and Gary Pica and I can't remember who else it was. And it was real. It was just, we sat down and we looked at each other and said, you guys know what we're doing? Yeah, I think I know what we're doing. And we just it was fun. But we all went back in the other room and kind of compared notes on the score sheet. And that was it. But what was interesting is I think we'd all obviously been entrepreneurial. Brad Scow was the other one. We'd been entrepreneurial. We'd all seen pitches. We'd all invested before. We'd all done all this stuff. And the 1, 2, 3 was like I'd mentioned earlier, it was extremely obvious to us. It was extremely obvious. We all agreed. I remember us agreeing instantly. And then the second time was when I pitched, and that was, you know, it was very. I remember distinctly how the 3 companies were extraordinarily different problems, different solutions, technical time, very, very different. And it was just a great experience. So. But again, it was kind of like, hey, 18, you know, or 10 people applied, and a month beforehand, hey, you're one of the finalists. Good luck. And we just showed up and did our pitch, right? So this is so different.
Yes. Well, yeah, we didn't call you 2 weeks in advance and say, hey, we need you. Yeah, actually, you were one of my first phone calls when I went into this because I started looking at the stuff. Yeah, like I was like, I don't know what to do yet. I was like, so I got to meet Jamison and understand what he does and did. And like between you and Gene and Callan, and actually anybody that I knew that was associated, I asked like what their experience was like and what they would want to improve. And that's sort of how we started to get down to where we are.
And this is the first year that you've used coaches, right?
This is the first year we did a 16-week incubation accelerator program where we had all these Cameo coaches involved. Matter of fact, like Jamison and Gene, they were introduced as going to be head coaches, of course, but they weren't involved in the process until after the preliminaries took place, because we didn't want to skew this and let them get involved. And we wanted them to have these teams come to them after they learned a bunch of stuff from a bunch of other people, plus whatever their own experiences were. And then they could start to work on them individually without any kind of background in it, and it's been very smooth for us. It's worked out beautifully. But, this accelerator program, we had coaches from Amy Luby that talked about, channel operations and how to grow your channel program itself, how to work with partners, to Michelle McBain talked about social media presence and creating your brand, over to mergers and acquisition conversations. I mean, it was to integrations, to technology, to product market fit, to even the modes, and talking about where partners are, so that if, like, for Adam Waters' case, he was an MSP. So modes was great for him. So he could see and understand that what's being applied. He came from corporate, and these things have always happened in corporate. We've been doing DISC assessments and all those things forever, right? But in the MSP world, there's not been this. There's been a gradual progression of education and growth and whatnot, but it's never been to the point where MSPs have realized this business potential and need help now, that they're on this next level. So they all had a chance to take advantage of all these things. And then Kam and his team, and I'll leave this to you, Kam, even, they came in, and there were things that we talked about. One of the big things that they highlighted with me when we were in Chicago at IT Nation Share was not realizing the community engagement aspect and how important it was. And I'll shut up now, Kam. You can talk about your experience with this. The whole program.
Oh, yeah. 100%. I mean, I thought that the coaching was immensely valuable. Specifically, modes theory, at least in my opinion, that was my favorite element of the entire process. And I think that really it kind of put boundaries in terms of how we thought of different types of partners, right? Different maturity levels mean that our product offering for them is going to differ, right? The value that they're going to derive from our product is going to differ. So being able to apply that both towards the pitch, but then also from a standpoint of the business as a whole, right? The conversations that we're having now are a lot more relevant because we take that into consideration. We take that level of operational maturity into consideration before we make any recommendations or suggestions.
So if you are just joining us, we were talking about PitchIT, which is going to happen in just about a week and a half in Orlando at IT Nation Connect. So if you don't have your ticket, get your ticket, connectwise.com/the IT Nation. And we're talking with one of the teams that is a finalist for the PitchIT competition. And they are determined to walk away with a win and walk away with $70,000. So I need to ask the Shark Tank question. What are you going to do with the money?
So for us, at least, the biggest thing, like Sean said, is we weren't aware of how big this community was, how much of a community it truly is. And as a byproduct of that, I think that opened our eyes in terms of how we want to address the market, right? In the case that people hang out in certain groups, certain areas, certain forums, that we want to reinvest back into the community in two areas. One, in terms of being able to be more active in terms of a lot of these peer groups and providing some of the best practice that we've noticed and we've developed for service desks in terms of alerting, for service desks in terms of response automation, but then additionally in terms of product, right? Based on a lot of the conversations that we've been having, both with MSP partners, but also other vendors in the space, we see a lot of cool opportunities where we can build more integrations and optimize the way that service desks operate today.
I love it. You magical words. I love community. I love relationships. And you're touching on all of those things. Adding value to your prospect list is something that I always talk about. So you mentioned that with best practices and sharing that, being active in the peer group, and then collaborative opportunities there to be able to be that lever that helps all of the other ships around you rise. So I love it. That rising tide that lifts all boats. Great answer. If I had an extra $70,000 that I wanted to give away, I might just give it to you.
That's all it took. I can talk. I can say those words too.
I'll bring you $70,000. It might be Monopoly money, Sean, but I'll give it to you.
Won't be the first time it's not the first time I pretended. That's fine. So okay, and I don't know if you saw, going back to the $70,000 win. I had sat down with Vanahai. Their intending was $70,000 to give a freemium for all MSPs if they win the $70,000. So they've essentially bribed the entire MSP space in a way. Just saying. So that's I know, right? That's like a bribe. It's like, hey, if you guys help us to win, we will give 70,000. We will apply this to freemium versions of automated pen testing for every MSP. So
okay, but it's not the MSPs that are voting. So is that the epitome of a market message mismatch? Like, they're bribing, if they're going to bribe people, they need to bribe the judges. Like, we'll split it with you or something.
Yeah.
I don't know.
right.
Judge.
I already bought trips to Aruba. You're welcome as soon as I go. As soon as I win, you guys get the ticket. It's just waiting for the name to be put in. It's already paid for.
I don't know. I'd be like, man, I hope I lose. That way I get to go to Aruba.
I know, right? I don't know. I feel like it may be a mismatch, but one thing I would say is probably not, because no matter what judging comes down to, you tend to listen to the masses regardless, right? Every time you've done a pivot in your business for product market fit, it's based off of a majority rule, right? If anybody ever taught you, that was Jimmy Hoffa. He said, if you run the mob, you make decisions, right? And most businesses, the more friends you have, the more likely you succeed, right? The more raving fans you have, the more likely you succeed, right? So not that our judges will be persuaded by the MSPs, but it makes it a lot better. I mean, it comes back to regular basic marketing 101. The more repetition of seeing somebody and seeing some sort of brand, the more likely you're going to shop with it, the more likely you fall in love with it.
I think that the judges in general are putting themselves in this. I mean, that's what that is ultimately the number one part of the rubric, regardless of how you look at it, is.
Yes.
So what is the value you're going to provide back to the community? And that's the whole point of it is, right? And I think everybody understands that. So that's a compelling. It's interesting.
Yeah,
I'm seeing the smoke. Like they're going to come up with something. I have a feeling.
No, I feel like, I honestly, even take away with the bribe aspect, I just think that I think if you follow just the basic rule of showing the value of what you're doing, solving the problem in the most seamless way, and again, if you're I've been an investor before, and I know my investment was based off of, okay, well, what do you do with this? Like, what do you do to help me make money back? That's what I really want to. I mean, yeah, that's a great product, but it's still my money. So how do you get your money back? That's what I want to know. And how do I double that or triple that? Yeah. I think that's important. If you can showcase that, and what most people look for, you solve the problem, but is it repeatable and scalable? If it's not, there's nothing else you can do. If you can't make it scalable, and hence why products like yours and the ability for automation is so crucial these days. I mean, I'll say one thing about this whole competition. Each company represents a different faction of business needs, right? We know that for one. But the beautiful thing about it is that every one of them have figured out a way to be repeatable and scalable. And with this whole new digitalization transformation that's taken place, they've all kind of been successful in it. They actually are complementary to it. And we're not talking, there's no archaic, prehistoric offering happening here. Nobody has an on-prem solution, which I like. That's a good thing. Yeah. Nobody has hardware in this, which is great. But I think it showcases just where the space is going, where it's gone to over the last couple of years, and how it's not going to stop now. And these guys are all complementary to each other too. That's the best. The one thing about all three of them is they actually are very complementary to each other. Even they're doing their pre-day event together. Yeah. They all are sponsoring and doing a pre-day event together as to, hey, this is us. This is what we do. This is how we work together. This is how we work with ConnectWise. That in itself, take away what your product does. If you can't make it easy for me to work out of one portal or one platform, if you make my job cumbersome by adding on double the work, I'm probably not going to look at your platform, regardless of what it does, or your solution, or whatever. I'm not going to. But if you can make it in one place and make it easy, and I can make money, I'm looking at your product.
And so, that's one thing that I definitely want to say is a big takeaway for us. we're all competing, and yeah, I'm always game for a bit of trash talk, but never going to trash talk the products or the companies because we're putting together this pre-day event. And I think that we found, and Sean, I know you hate this word, but synergy between the three.
I hate those corporate buzzwords.
But we really do work well together, right? We're discussing the ability to showcase data from one product to another, building integrations, and seeing how we can hit the market together and provide more holistic benefit to managed service providers. So I will say it's been an awesome experience working with the teams of Humanize IT and Vonahai, and I think that both the teams as well as the products are great. So wish them the best of luck there.
So tell me about the pre-day, because we've got a couple of minutes left. What is happening? Is that where you were going, Sean? Oh man, we're starting to think alike. This is scary. What are the topics that are going to be covered? What's the value in that pre-day?
Yeah, so the pre-day is essentially going to be talking about how the three emerging technologies truly drive value, right? So less of a pitch, more of an actual workshop so that you can see it within the context of an MSP. We're setting up a sample MSP just to show them how data will flow from system to system and where the ROI truly exists, where they can drive value, and getting a little bit more into the nitty gritty around how and why, right? So how do we want to go about this? What method of executing operational automation is going to be the best for your specific service desk, right? Or potentially where you might need to have better conversations with your customers from Humanize IT's context, or the added value and cost savings of automated pen testing. So it's a bit more of a hands-on approach, and then we're going to be doing a bit of a panel discussion towards the end of the session there too. So that's going to be in the morning, right? I think a couple hours before our pitch.
Amazing. All right. So if you are just joining us, we're about to wrap up. Make sure you have your ticket to IT Nation. You can go to the ConnectWise website. You will see it there, or you can simply Google IT Nation, get your ticket, come and watch the PitchIT competition. This group with AlertOps, they are convinced that they're going to win. So come to the event, see if their prediction comes true, and learn more about what they're doing to protect the industry, to make it easier, to reduce alert fatigue, reduce the noise of all of the crazy alerts that happen all day and all night long. Sean, any last minute thoughts or questions as we start to wrap up?
No, I think that everybody should make it a point to see this. Most MSPs are looking for where their stack is going to go in the future. All these technologies are very complementary to, as we mentioned, to each other and to ConnectWise. So last time I checked, most people going to IT Nation Connect MSP-wise are using our products. So you probably should come check it out to see what they can do to improve their business with it. Go to the morning session with them. That's fine. Go learn. Again, one thing I hate is when people walk away from these types of events and say, I didn't see anything new. It's in their face. So if they don't see anything new, then shame on them for not planning and not showing up. But the event, it's on November 9th. The pre-day starts at 8:30 to 12:30 with them, with all three of them. And then the event itself, the finals, is from 3 to 4 Eastern there. We'll start to put all of the information on social and through email over the next week here, where to find all of us. So I strongly suggest and advise that you guys come check this out, because MSPs always look for ways to stack, to align their stack. They always do. So this is a good way to do it.
Agreed. And I always love watching these just from a sales perspective and understanding how to articulate a value prop and just almost criticizing myself as I'm listening to people pitch, like, oh, I used to mention that and I don't mention it anymore, or oh, that's something I need to add. I don't do that, but I see the magic and why they did it. And so learn from these three companies that have invested time into perfecting their pitch and explaining the value prop, and then use that to criticize yourself and say, do I do that when I am in a sales situation? And if not, that's a very easy lever to pull and up level yourself and your salesmanship. So don't just come and sit and expect to be entertained. Although I know you will, of course, be entertained, but I want you to sit and use this as a learning experience for how can you become a better business person. So
Absolutely.
I'm going to wrap us up. Gentlemen, thank you so much for your time. This was a treat. Cannot wait to see what happens in 10 days, and we will chat then. Take care.
Thanks all.
Thank you.